OG guitar YouTuber, Solar Guitars creator and all-round good Swede Ola Englund has just unleashed upon the world his new vision for Solar Guitars. Solar Guitars Europe. This has the potential to be absolutely massive for the metal guitar community, so I wanted to share my thoughts with you, unearth a few details I found and talk about that massive price tag. Let's go. Welcome back my dudes, it's great to see you. Now we're mostly metal guys, so you probably already watch Ola, and if you do, you'll have already heard about Solar Guitars Europe. But if you don't know, absolute riff machine Ola Englund has just announced a new section of Solar Guitars making premium limited quantity master built guitars straight out of France. The first two models that were shown were the long awaited Type X, which as it happens has actually been hanging in the back of shot in Ola's recent videos for a few weeks now, and an S-Type that rocks some unique features just for the European series. Although I'm editing the video now and something's just dawned on me. We'll probably never get this S-Type, and it's because Ola says this.
And for my 40th birthday, I decided to get myself a little something special. No one would know about it more than me. It would just be something I could cherish myself.
The first thing that I want to get off my chest is this. I am so glad that these guitars are built and ready to go. No pre-order nonsense, no waiting list at launch. They're here and they're ready to go if you want one, you're quick enough, and if you have the serious amounts of cash that these demand. There's literally one left as I'm making this video. Let's be straight, there's been far too much messing around with master built guitars from certain brands that I'm not going to name, but I would have never doubted Ola's drive to deliver. But the biggest question I have right now is, who's building these? His name is Tom Marceau. Now I did GCSE French, but I'm not going to drop any of it here. And he is a well-experienced luthier out of Béthune in France. Tom has been building awesome looking boutique guitars for like 10 years or so under the brand name Marceau Guitars. Looking over their artist list, there's only like one that I know, and that's Tora. She's like a blues rock slash pop artist that's incredibly good at what she does. So it would seem that like metal instruments aren't what's usually coming out of Tom's workshop, but I don't think that's a problem. The craftsmanship is obviously there when you scope out the guitars that Tom's been making, and from what I can tell about Ola, he cares deeply about the quality of Solar guitars and he stands by them 100%. They're his guitars, they're what he plays, and their reputation is tied directly to his. Marceau also makes pickups too, and if I'm not mistaken, Ola's not mentioned yet who's been making the Solar EU hand-wired pickups, so it's probably safe to assume that they're coming out of Tom's workshop as well. If that's right, then Ola's not only putting the craftsmanship of the instrument in Tom's hands, but the sound as well. And that's interesting to me because obviously Ola's had a long relationship with Seymour Duncan, so he could have probably had something special made by them for these guitars. Obviously I think an undertaking like this must have been on the cards for a while, and it's probably taken some time for Ola to find someone who he trusts well enough and has a good enough working relationship with to create the best master built instruments Solar possibly can. These guitars are obviously a labour of love, and I am sure that Ola wouldn't half-arse it. At face value, I need to say that these instruments look so sick. I'm going to talk solely about the X-Type because it's been a long time coming, and holy shit, it is a beast. With Ola's love of Dimebag, it was only a matter of time before Solar released an instrument that respectfully pays homage to Dime and the ML, and now that it's here, I think it's safe to say that it was a success. Aside from the shape, the finish is so reminiscent of some of Dime's models. If you've seen the Dime Bolt or the Dime Slime, then you know exactly what I mean when you look at that awesome finish on top, offset against the natural back, sides and neck, showing off that mahogany construction. It's super obvious to me that Ola has taken inspiration from the guitarist and the guitars that he loves and paid homage to him with the finish on the Type X. But there are differences too, as there absolutely should be. Ola pretty much said in the announcement video that he's built this guitar to his exact specifications, so what has he done differently? The most obvious thing to me is the use of Scharler hardware. It's so uncommon to see a Scharler trem installed instead of a Floyd Rose nowadays, so that's obviously a choice that Ola really likes. He's making expensive guitars, so he's choosing what he thinks is best, and to be honest, that's sick in my opinion. Who can say that if they were in a position to do the same, they wouldn't push the boat out themselves? I absolutely would. Aside from that, the other differences are the custom M1 pickups, the rich light fretboard, stainless steel frets, kill switch, and the Solar headstock. By this point, that reverse Solar headstock is part of the Solar DNA. Honestly, I'd have been a bit disappointed to see a different type of headstock on this guitar, so that's awesome, but I don't think Ola would ever change that anyway. But does all that really warrant a £4 price tag? I mean, these guitars are expensive. Like super expensive. Ola's in a position where he's worked super hard on his brand for such a long time, and now he can start adding value to it by making these crazy guitars, and that can only be a good thing for Solar, I think. It's another arm to the business that really strengthens Solar as a brand, and it's not like he's not made enough options for guitars for people like me anyway. For perspective on the price though, I recently crashed my car in an accident on some black ice, and so I need to get a new one. Now the next car that I'm going to buy is likely going to cost less than a Solar EU Type X, but honestly, like, that's absolutely fine. I'm happy to just daydream about owning an EU Type X until the more affordable one comes out and I can finally get my hands on my first Solar. What's really refreshing to see is that the response to the announcement of Solar Europe seems to be overwhelmingly positive, and I think that just goes to show the quality of the community and the goodwill that Ola's managed to develop over his years on YouTube. Nothing about this launch seems like a cash grab in any way to me, and I think everybody else probably agrees. It's just simply the creation of a really high-end metal instrument that Ola believes in, and I am absolutely stoked for him. This whole thing is actually pretty inspiring to me. Like, I don't know where my channel's going to be in a few years, but Ola didn't know where his channel was going to be when he started either. Like, just look at him now. He's so well respected and loved in the metal community, and I don't think you can say any fairer than that. All I can say is that I wish him all the very best with Solar Europe, and I can't wait to see where this pushes the Solar brand to. But that's it from me. If you've got any thoughts, leave them in the comments below, but otherwise, take care mate, stay safe. I'll see you later.